Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon to all participants. We have Dr. Mayank Aggarwal with us as expert of the session. I welcome you, sir. Dr. Mayank Aggarwal, currently working as Associate Professor and HOD in Computer Science and Engineering at Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Gurukul, Kangri University, Haridwar. Sir have won patent on his credit in the field of blockchain and have experience of 70 years in academics and loves to deliver inspiring and technical talks. Sir represented Uttarakhand, UP, West and Himachal as science communicator in Indian Science Congress 2014. Sir have been gold medalist in university topper in BTech, did BTech honors in computer science and engineering, MTech in computer science and PhD in, uh, in CS from SFRF IIT Delhi. Sir have more than 50 papers in reputed journal and conferences and Sir have conducted more than 100 workshops and trainings in cloud computing with some on behalf of IBM partners. Sir, is a life member of CSI, IETE, ISCA and have contributed in CSI at various levels as Honorary Secretary CSI Haridwar chapter in 2014 and 16. Sir was chairman in 2017-18 and actively involved in various social activities of Red Cross and Bharat Vikas Parishad. I welcome you, sir, and we are very thankful to you for accepting our invitation for being expert in this session. And now I hand over session to you, sir. We are keen to listen you.
So the session we have focused today is, we have called it as a securing applications by blockchain. Now what is blockchain, what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning? All of us, you are academicians. We will cover slowly that how blockchain can be used in artificial intelligence, what basically a blockchain is and why security comes in the picture in artificial intelligence, and how we can secure our applications by using blockchain as a technology. But before I move forward, these are some of the technologies I have mentioned over here: cloud computing, artificial intelligence, fog computing, big data. Now I would like to hear from one of you that what is cloud computing? Means any one of you could just answer it, that what is basically cloud computing is in your own words, or you can use your chat window. I am unable to hear, and if you are using the chat, I have to switch the screen. Okay. Resource utilization, someone has written. Very good. I have received only one answer, that is resource utilization. See, if you will answer, so I'll come to know that what topic I have to cover. Means if things are clear, so we will move forward. If you not answer, then it would become difficult for me. Computing without the help of local memory. Very good. Memory processor computing. Okay. Any more? On-demand availability of resources. Very good. Irshad Hussain ji. Good. More answers are expected. See, so many of you have joined, and all of you, we all belong to the same community. You are also a academician and I am also an academician. So we all belong to the same community. There should be no fear or there should be no hesitation in answering, please. Resource sharing and efficient utilization. Great. So let's hear from Irshad Hussain ji. Irshad ji, could you elaborate what you have written? Could you please explain to all what you wish to write in the chat?
So,
Yeah, please.
generally we have local storages for resource sharing and resource availability. But when we need resources on demand, for example, that is not in our local machine, that is on the remote machine, so we can have resources on our demand at the time when we need it. We need not to carry our local storage with us, so we can have that much facility with the cloud computing.
Great, great. Thank you, Hussain ji. Now
Thank you.
coming to the next word which is written over here, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning. No need to ask from you that what is artificial intelligence or what is machine learning, because all of you have joined this FDP which is being sponsored by AICTE. So it gives a clear picture that you all must be working in this field, that what is artificial intelligence and what is machine learning. Third terminology which is written is fog computing. Can anyone answer what is fog computing? Means any idea?
So soft computing, sir.
Fog. Is this screen
Oh,
visible?
okay.
I'll put it again. Fog, F-O-G. Visible? The screen is visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. The third point which I have mentioned, fog computing. Any idea? Okay. Let's, we will talk about it in a moment. Fourth point, big data. I hope all of you must have heard of definitely that what is big data. Now, you can use the chat window to put your answers that what is big data. Why I have started with all these things is, see, if I talk about cloud computing, so what was cloud computing was that, or what is cloud computing is that instead of using my resources, I'm using someone else's resources and I'm paying him as a rent. For example, if I have to go from my place to Bikaner, so instead of taking my own car, I'll go by a taxi and I'll give the rent on the taxi. Even if I travel by the train, so I do not buy the whole train. I give a certain amount of fare to the train, to the railways. So the fare is calculated by the amount and the distance and the time I have used that service of the railway. So I'm paying it as much as I'm using it. So cloud computing was a technology, or cloud computing is a technology where we are using the resources of third party and we are paying as per the usage. Okay, artificial intelligence and machine learning, all of you are experts in that field, so I am no one to comment on this, that what is artificial intelligence and what is machine learning. Third technology is fog computing. I'll speak on what is fog computing. And the fourth I have mentioned over here is big data. Big data means a large amount of data, and then data analytics come into the picture, where we were analyzing the data and putting the results on the data. The basic concept why I have shared is that if you think for a moment that why these technologies are booming, why there is so much need of machine learning, why artificial intelligence is required so much in this scenario. If you have gone through the newspaper today of Times of India, so there is a complete one page, even in the newspaper, means even in the newspaper there is complete one page which talks about edge computing. And there are certain columns which talks about artificial intelligence on the same page. So if you have gone through the newspaper, that even the newspaper is talking about the technology nowadays, and there is a complete one page today itself which talks about edge computing. So what is this edge computing or what is this fog computing? I'll be sharing little bit with you, but can you just guess that why all these technologies have come into the demand? That what is the basic reason that how artificial intelligence has become so famous, why machine learning has become so famous, why big data has become so famous? What is one reason, if we try to conclude that what is the force which is driving these technologies and why it has become the need of the hour? So I would like to hear from you all for this thing. You are listening on artificial intelligence and machine learning from past 2-3 days, and you must be working on it definitely. Great, Karaji. Volume of data. Very good answer. Any other answers? See, there is no one answer which we can say is correct. There is no one answer in technical terms which we say that this is the reason why artificial intelligence has become so much famous. So others should also try. Okay. Kharak Singh Mehra ji has answered it, and others I think are hesitant in answering. I can't say, means I will not say that they do not know, because I am sure that the participants are more active than me. So it is not that they do not know. So Kharagji, could you please unmute yourself and speak on what you have written? Kharag Singh Mehra ji, is it possible? Your answer
Yes.
is perfectly right. Please.
Sir, good afternoon. This is Khadak Singh Mehra.
Okay, Khadak. Very sorry for wrong
It's
pronunciation.
fine, sir. It's fine, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, somewhere I have read about this big data. No? That's where it was written that variety, veracity, and volume, big volume of structured and unstructured data, same structured data. That's why I have written this one.
Great.
Sir, shall I answer?
Yeah, please.
Sir, this is
Thank you, sir.
Jyoti
Thank you.
from Ahmednagar. Big data is the data which is generating at a very high speed, like the data which is generated through ATMs or online transactions, or when we shop in malls. That data is nothing but big data. Why? Because it is generating at very high speed. Also, the data is of variety of type. Like it generates textual data, numerical data. It can be any picture data. It can be any data which is in terms of audio. So it is in variety of form. Okay, this is another reason. And the third one is versatile. Okay, so because of these three reasons, vast amount of data, variety of data, and versatile data. That kind of data is termed as big data, which has multiple dimensions to handle. This data means structured data, which can be represented in tabular format, right? Records in terms of rows and columns. But here, big data will have multiple dimensions. Okay, so
Great.
this is what I understood about
Great.
big data.
Great. Now, thank you to both of you for answering what is big data. I need to understand that you all are going through these sessions of artificial intelligence and machine learning. My next question is that why machine learning has come in so much demand? What is the reason behind this? That this technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning is in so much demand. Any guesses, any answer for it? Anyone would like to answer, please unmute and tell. सोचो यार आप लोग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पढ़ रहे हो, इसकी इतनी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत क्या पड़ रही है? क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस? क्यों आप लोग सीख रहे हो इसके बारे में, मशीन लर्निंग के बारे में, डीप लर्निंग के बारे में? नो गेसेस?
I would like to answer this question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, when we talk about data, there are certain algorithms or there are certain techniques which can handle smaller amount of data or similar kind of data or structured data, right? But there is no any efficient way to handle big data or which is in multiple formats or which is in very vast, which is very vast in nature, right? So using machine learning, we are getting opportunity to use certain algorithms that give us facilitate to use vast amount of data where we can apply computations very easily for analysis purpose, which is not possible using those traditional algorithms or using traditional methods. So machine learning is providing us that way to analyze it by applying certain algorithms very fast using complex computations. Okay, so this is what I understood from...
Very good, perfectly answered. And if it would have
Sir,
been... Yeah, please.
Sir, to bring the automation technique in technology, we have to use the artificial intelligence, and to control the artificial intelligence, we have to use the machine learning concepts behind it. That's why we can automate anything.
Great.
So instead of handling giant amount of data manually, we can have automated machine developed using machine learning algorithms. Those can handle giant data. So that's why the demand of machine learning is nowadays is very it's in demand.
Great. So all the three, those who have answered, are perfectly right. There is nothing which is right and wrong. But if I have to rate it and give marks, though it is not a test, so the ma'am who answered in the beginning, I have forgotten the name. Very sorry, because I was concentrating on the screen and not on the Teams, so I couldn't read the name. So I would rate that ma'am has answered very perfectly 10 out of 10. See, all the technologies which are floating in the market and new technologies which are coming, one reason that why there is so much demand of technology is of the data. That we are generating so much amount of data is being generated. If you see the social sites, the WhatsApp and all, so much amount of data is being generated, and technologies is required to process that data. And machine learning is one of the technology through which we can process the data in a very faster manner, because results have to be come from that data only. Now, please consider it on this point that at the end of the day, it is because of our greed of data. जो हम डेटा जनरेट कर रहे हैं इतना ज़्यादा बिना कुछ सोचे समझे, इसलिए ये टेक्नोलॉजी में नए नए चेंजेस आ रहे हैं. So because of the data only, these all technologies are flourishing, and it has become a part and parcel of our life that we cannot live without it. If I talk about today's newspaper, there is a technology which was known as edge computing. I have mentioned it fog computing in my presentation. So edge computing is also like fog computing. Let me explain to you that what is edge computing and fog computing. Cloud computing, you all know. Why I am talking about these technology? Because all these are linked with artificial intelligence. You cannot alone work on algorithm of an artificial intelligence without if you are making something practical without using fog computing or without using cloud computing. There is so much amount of data which you have to process, and in practical terms, if you have to process that data, you will be requiring certain cloud, you will be requiring certain third-party resource. For your research work, for your academic purpose, definitely you can do alone with algorithms of machine learning and all. But you have to make certain practical applications, and all other technologies knowledge is necessary. So what is fog computing is, see, in cloud computing what happens is that everything goes into the cloud. That is the third party server. Your important data, your not important data, the data goes into the cloud, the servers in the cloud do the computations and it returns back to you. Now suppose if I am making a driverless car and a car has to make a turn, and I wish to make an artificial intelligence and machine learning use in it. So if car has to make an abrupt turn, अचानक कोई टर्न आ जाता है ना, surprisingly there is a turn, है ना, unexpectedly there is a turn, there is a good amount of internet speed, we say, is available, a bandwidth is available, though at times it may be possible that the path from which the car is going, internet is lost over there. So if there is no internet at that point, or if there is an unexpected turn, so the data will go to the cloud and then it will return to the car that you have to make a turn. Yes, you can make a turn. In the meantime, the data goes and the data gets processed and the data returns. The car will meet with an accident. So it gave term to a new computing which is known as fog computing or edge computing, where the important data is processed near the site only. The important data is processed near the site only, and the data which is not so much critical, it goes to the cloud, and the processing is done near the site only. Now the decision of machine learning, the decision of artificial intelligence is being used, that whether the car has to turn or not. There are so many companies which are working on such type of applications. For example, there is a एग्जाम्पल इन टूडेज न्यूज़पेपर ओनली. अब मैं बिल्कुल रिसेंट आज के न्यूज़पेपर्स की सारे आपसे एग्जाम्पल शेयर कर रहा हूँ. दैट आईटीसी कंपनी इज यूजिंग मशीन लर्निंग एंड आईओटी and edge computing together to decide that whether the product which has been produced is correct or not. Instead of putting so much amount of labor, instead of putting so much amount of quality control, the products have been produced and cameras are being installed, and camera takes the pictures of the photos, and artificial intelligence is being used to process it, that whether the product which has been produced by the factory is of the quality meeting the factors or not. And if it is not meeting the factors, the product is rejected there and then only. So ITC, an FMCG company which is producing FMCG products, is using artificial intelligence in such a way. So it is all generating data. The cameras is capturing the photo and this data is being going on. Now just think that where is this data going on? This data is going on to some third party server and data is being processed over there and results are being returned to you. So there can be a breach of security. We can lose the data. Someone else can hack the data. For example, in the ITC company, the cameras are taking the photos and it is going to some server, and the hacker, who is very smart, he hacks it and he rejects most of the pieces, thinking it that the company will reject these pieces and then I will buy these pieces at a lower cost from the company, because according to the company policy the piece has been rejected now, but actually the piece was not faulty. It has been manipulated by the hackers and the company does not come to know. So what we have to secure is we have to secure the data which artificial intelligence and machine learning is processing. I receive calls from many people. Sir, can we combine artificial intelligence with blockchain? Can we combine this thing with blockchain? Can we combine? So I always say, yes, you can combine, but it becomes a very difficult task. It becomes a very difficult task that every technology is itself so expanded form. So today I'll try to tell you that how you can combine artificial intelligence and blockchain together. If you are in the research, so it would add into your research if you could put little part of blockchain accordingly in your research of artificial intelligence or machine learning. So the key point before we start is that for the security of the data, because the data has to be secured, we can use one technology, we can use one technique that is known as blockchain. Okay. Now what is blockchain and all? We will begin with it. But before I begin, if there are any queries, any doubts, do ask. Because now I'll begin with what basically blockchain is. The session is focused on that to secure the data which you are processing in machine learning, blockchain can be used. Blockchain is a technology which is used for security. And to make your projects, to make your research work more interesting, more fruitful, you can combine these technologies together. Cloud computing, AI, fog computing, big data, you can combine all these together at different levels. Today I'll be showing you that how we can combine AI and blockchain together. Any queries, or shall we proceed?
No, sir. No
Okay,
queries.
thank you.
No, sir.
So let's proceed then. Okay. Now, what is blockchain? Blockchain. The name itself suggests it is comprised of two words, block plus chain. So to understand what blockchain is, let us hear a small story first. Okay. I'm sharing a story with you. Any idea to anyone? Anyone has heard about what is blockchain is? Any idea? Means okay, you can use your chat window to answer that. Have you heard this term blockchain before? Even if no idea what is it, have you heard the term? सिर्फ टर्म सुना है कि ब्लॉकचेन होता है कुछ? Just write yes or no in the chat window, then I'll begin with it, so that I come to know at least that the crowd which I am addressing today means have they ever heard of this term or not? Yeah, just you have to type yes or no in the chat window. Okay. Great. So I have received 5-6 yes means
Sir, in case of most of the participants, chat window is disabled.
Okay. Chat window is disabled. Okay. Anyhow, let's proceed with it. So some yes have come and most of the chat windows are disabled. I have already been told. Anyhow, so let's. But I would request if the admin, if it is possible to enable chat windows, because it becomes an interactive session and it makes the session more interesting if it is possible. So Let us hear a story of a colony. Okay, colony means where a group of people live together. Work together. A group of people live together. Sorry, a group of people live together. So there is a society where a group of people live together, and what they decide is, these group of people decide that they will contribute a certain amount of money, and that money they will give to an elderly fellow in their society, because we all trust an elderly fellow. So what they feel is that they will deposit certain amount of money, whatever money one can afford. Each family will deposit a certain amount of money and give it to that elderly fellow every month, and in time of any need or in time of any celebration in the society, they will take that money and utilize that money. So every person, every family in the society start depositing the money to that elderly fellow. But what happens by means God wish, what happens is that when they need that money, they go to that house of that elderly fellow. 4 or 5 people from the society goes to that elderly fellow to take the money which has been deposited. But very disheartenedly, they see that that old fellow is no more. He is died last night, and no one in the society was aware that he has already died last night, and it was a shock to them that that old fellow has died. So they say that it was the God wish, we cannot do anything if he has died. But they ask their his family members, that old fellow family members, that that old fellow used to put the money in a locker in his Almira, and there was a register where he was keeping the records of the money he has taken from us. So could you please hand over that register and the money from his locker? So the family members say, okay, we will give it to you. And when they open the locker in front of these 5 people from the society, they're astonished to see that there is no money and there is no register in that locker. And the family people of that old fellow says that we do not know about the money and the register. He has never shared this thing with us, and we are ignorant for this. So the society people say, okay, then what can be done? They return back to their work, and they say nothing can be done because all is gone now, and we can't take the money from that old fellow family members. He has recently died, so let's forget about the money which we have contributed. So having said this, hope you have heard this story very clearly, because there is a question after this. Each story I'll be telling 3 stories, and then I'll be asking 3 answers from you. Means 3 questions I'll be asking, and I'm expecting 3 answers. Means different people shall answer it. So if I compare this thing where the society people was depositing a money to a single person, and when the single person dies, everything goes off. If I compare this thing, if I make it an analogy with computer science, so which type of technology or which type of computing is it in terms of computers? If I compare it with computer science, it is analogous to computers to which type of technology? Any answers?
Is it cloud computing, sir?
We can say cloud computing. To very good answer. To make it more generalized, instead of putting it a particular technology, if I say what type of computing strategies it is using?
Sir, storage database type.
Storage database
Centralized.
type. Centralized computing. Very good. Who has answered this? Means all of you have answered it very correctly, but sometimes we wish to hear the same word which is there in our mind. So who has answered the centralized computing?
Rajshekhar, sir.
Rajshekhar ji. Great. Rajshekhar ji, could you speak something on centralized computing to make it clear to others that what is basically centralized computing is?
Centralized computing is a mechanism where all the data is stored at a central place, and everybody is trying to have access from that particular central place. And no distribution of data is there, and data is available at only one place, and if anything goes wrong with that place, it may not be available for the entire society or entire hosts that are there in the network.
Great, Rajshekhar ji. Thank you. Now, as Rajshekhar ji said, that this is an example of centralized computing, where the data, not only data, the processing, client server, every processing is being dependent on that server only. If the server goes down, if that central structure goes down, everything goes wrong. We are left with no means. By no means we can do anything. So that was the difficulty in centralized computing. And friends, currently in artificial intelligence or machine learning, what you are using is centralized computing only. Just think that you have kept your data, you are processing that important data, a huge amount of data you have to process for testing of machines, for training the machines. You are keeping the data. Even if you are using a cloud, so you are putting it on the cloud server, and cloud at the back end is using centralized computing. So if anything goes wrong with the centralized server, every data is wrong, went. So there is a flaw in this centralized computing. The picture is clear, just think of that. So this was a mistake in centralized computing. Means this is one of the flaws of centralized computing, a shortcoming, a disadvantage of centralized computing. We cannot say that what is good or what is bad, because everything has disadvantage and everything has advantages. Okay, so this is one of the disadvantage of centralized computing. Now let's take another scenario. In this scenario, what happens is that again the society people gather together and they say, okay, this time we will do the contribution again, but what we will do is that instead of keeping the record with one people, we will depute 5 people from among us, and 5 of us will keep the record. So because only one person was keeping the record, if the record goes wrong or if the person goes, anything happens to the person, then everything is gone. So instead of doing this, we will depute 5 people, and all the 5 people will be having the keys of that locker, and all the 5 people will be maintaining the records. We will be putting their own separate registers, and these 5 people will keep the record of the things, and these 5 people will work independently. So these 5 people are independent of each other and they are keeping their own records, and the money is being kept safely, and all the 5 people have got access to it independently. They have got access to it, and we are all very satisfied that now instead of 5 of them are keeping the records. But what happens in the society, a very smart fellow become a member of a society. He was like Nirav Modi or Chomsky, we can say. And what he sees is that a huge amount of money is being deposited in the society, and he tries to bribe these 5 people, and he tries to convince these 5 people separately that if you 5 of us join with me, means if I am speaking in terms of Nirav Modi, then we can manipulate the records, and at the end of the year or at the time when these society people will be needing the money, the accounts would be manipulated and we can put a certain share of money with us. And unfortunately, all the 5 people among us, they become victim to the lucrative offers of that guy, and they manipulate with the records. At the end of the year, when all the society people are in need of the money, these 5 people say that only this much amount of money has been collected. All of us says that no, more amount of money could have been, should have been collected. But when we see the records, we say, okay, when all these 5 people are saying that only this much amount of money has been collected, so they may be right and we can't do anything, and we again accept what these 5 people have said. So if I, having said this, if I compare this thing that where instead of one person, 5 persons were keeping the records individually, if I compare it, if I make it an analogous with computer science, so what type of technology can I compare it? Kindly answer it. See, slowly and slowly I'm trying to take you to a new technology, that is blockchain. So if I compare it with computer science, what can we say? That what is it?
Sir, distributed computing.
Good. Anything else? We can say it a distributed computing, but anyone else? See, first was centralized computing. So what it should be, where instead of one there are different servers. Though it is not exactly an analogous with it, but somewhat analogous. No answers. Okay. So let me try to clear it. See, the first one was centralized computing. One server was keeping this. Over here, 5 people are keeping it. So we can say it is an analogous to decentralized system. Decentralized system where instead of one system, there are 5 different systems which are working individually, independently with each other. So the second computing is an example of decentralized computing where instead of one, there are 5 people, those who are keeping the record. That is decentralized computing. Hope it is clear what is decentralized computing. Now listen to the third scenario, the third and the last scenario of the society, the story. Now the society people say, okay, we will again contribute, but this time all of us will keep the record in the registers. Every one of us will keep our own copy of the register and we will note that how much amount of money one has given to other. For example, I say, sorry, very sorry. For example, I say that, just hold on, I just want to know certain names, therefore I have shifted to the screen. For example, I say that, okay, let's take the names from the chat, those who have answered it. For example, I say that Jyoti ma'am has given X amount of money to Rajiv Das sir. And so every one of us, like Bhaskar sir is having his own record, Jyoti ma'am is having his own record, Rajiv Das sir is having his own record, Mayank Chopra sir is having his own record, and Madhura Chakravarti is having his own record. So everyone is having his or her own record. So if someone gives a certain amount of money to that contribution, so suppose Jyoti ma'am contributes X rupees. So every one of us will write in our register that Jyoti ma'am has contributed 100 rupees or X amount of rupees. Irshad sir has contributed 200 rupees. So every one of us is keeping the record. And whatever amount is being contributed, every one of us are saying, yes, this much amount have been contributed, and all of us are keeping the record. Now when every one of us is keeping the record, by no means at the end of the year when we need that amount, we can deny that this much amount of money has been contributed. Even if someone of us, for example, I say that myself, wish to manipulate the record, the central record. So I will get slaps from all of you because all of you are also keeping the records that how much amount of money has been contributed by each one of us. So every one of us has become a part of it. Now every one of us is linked with each other. Every one of us is linked with each other and every one of us know what other person is doing. Transparency has increased. Every one of us is contributing and every one of us is keeping the record. So if I compare it an analogous with computer science, this story where every participant is responsible, where every participant is keeping the record, if I make it an analogous with computer science, can you answer that which type of computing it is? Like decentralized computing, centralized computing, which type of computing it is? No guesses? Yeah,
It is
please.
decentralized.
Yeah, somewhat decentralized, but more, see, in decentralized computing, there is no interaction between different decentralized servers. In over here, what I'm saying is that every one of us is having the knowledge that what other one is doing. We are interacting with each other and then we are taking a decision and writing in our own registers. The same copy is being visible to all of us. Which type of computing it will?
Centralized?
No, ma'am. In centralized, there is only one copy. Over here, if there are 100 participants, there are 100 registers. In centralized computing, there can be only one register where everything is written. Over here, if there are 100 participants, there are 100 registers where we are writing down that how much amount of money has been contributed with one. Everyone is keeping its own copy. So this type of this type of computing is known as distributed computing, and the network which we are talking about, where everyone is interacting with each other, it is known as a peer-to-peer network. It is known as a peer-to-peer network. So friends, technologies like Hindi cinema, after every 14 days, means though in this COVID days things have not been the same, but if we forget the COVID days and we go back down the memory, 2 years down the memory, so after every 14 days there is a new movie in the picture hall, isn't it? And some movies flourish and some movies we do not even go to see, and some movies we do not even hear. Like there was a movie, I remember, Bahubali, and much before when this Bahubali 2 came, there was so much amount of hue and cry कि कटप्पा ने बाहुबली को क्यों मारा, है ना? आप लोगों ने भी सुना होगा, देखी होगी मूवी. तो उस मूवी के आने से पहले ही बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांड थी कि भाई कटप्पा ने क्यों मारा. इसी तरह से टेक्नोलॉजी है. After every 14 days, a new technology comes into the picture. But there are only certain technologies which make their market, which survive and which remains long lasting. So this artificial intelligence, cloud computing, fog computing are some of these technologies, and blockchain uses all these technologies, and this is one technology which is going to survive. Reason being, security comes into the picture. Now the third scenario which I shared with you is a distributed computing scenario. This is where you have to focus. You can't keep your data at a single point. In artificial intelligence, you have to switch to distributed applications. You have to switch to distributed storage. You have to switch to distributed operations. And blockchain is a technology which uses a distributed computing. The third story, remember this third story. This third story explains what blockchain is. What blockchain is, we'll be seeing in length today. But to remember what blockchain is, if someone asks you what is blockchain, so you can recite the third story, that the story resembles blockchain where every participant is responsible, every participant is having its own copy of the data, a peer-to-peer network is there, distributed computing is there. So blockchain uses decentralized, distributed, peer-to-peer network. What blockchain is, we will begin now with different definitions of blockchain and the structures of blockchain. After 2 minutes, I'll begin with it. If there are any queries in the meantime, you can write in the chat window. No queries? So let's move forward. All of you must have heard of the term linked list. Kindly answer yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any one of you can explain what a linked list is before I begin?
Sir, linked list is a data structure to store the data and use it. A linked list is a box in which one data and two or one nodes, and the nodes is contain the link of the next data associated with the present data. That
Very
means
good.
address.
Great. More answers means.
Sir, linked list is linear data structure, as sir told, where we have nodes, we have a start pointer, we have an end pointer, and based on the type of linked list, the nodes are connected to each other. Like if it is singly linked list, then we are connecting nodes in a forward direction where we can traverse in single direction from start to end in forward only. If it is doubly linked list, then we can traverse in both the directions, and where we have two pointers. One is pointing to the forward link, other is pointing to the reverse link. And if we have circular linked list, then the start node is always connected to the end node, or end node is connected to the start node. This is how linked list works.
Great, great. Now, a linked list is having a node. A node is divided in two parts. One is data and second is the address. The address is pointing towards the next node. That was a linked list. To summarize, both of you have said very correctly. All the participants already know. Now compare a blockchain with a linked list. As in linked list, there was a node having two parts, a data and a pointer. The data, the pointer points to the next node and it joins with the next node. Similarly, in a blockchain, there is a block. Instead of a node, we are calling it as a block. As you can see in the photo in front of you, there is a block. Instead of a node, we are calling it as a block. The block is divided in different parts. One part is definitely a data, and there are other parts also, but one part is data. So block is having a data in it, and it joins with another block joins with another block. The only difference is that in a linked list, it was connecting to the next node. Over here, the new node joins with the previous node. The new node joins with the previous node. One difference is the new node joins with the previous node, means the new block joins with the previous block. A block is created, another block is created, and the new block joins with the previous block. This joining process, instead of pointers and addresses over here, is something which is very much secured by using some cryptographically algorithms. We'll talk those cryptographic algorithms further, but security comes into the picture because this joining is done in a very cryptographic algorithms which is being used. One difference. Another difference is that in linked list, this storage was happening in a single computer. Everything was stored in a centralized computing. In this blockchain system, this is all distributed computing. This is all in a peer-to-peer network. There are different users, there are different blocks, and these are being joined. How it is being joined and what is happening, this is nothing to think for the moment. But for comparison, just to make it a picture in your mind, you can compare it as a linked list, that there is a blockchain also where there are different blocks and these blocks are joined with each other, and somehow security is being imbibed in it, trust is being imbibed in it. Now we will see different definitions to understand what blockchain is. Okay. Now before we see different definitions on blockchain, this is a multi-purpose tool. Many of you must have seen it or used it or used a similar type of tool where the same tool can be used for many things. So blockchain is a perfect example of it. What a blockchain is. See, blockchain is a technology over which we can build our applications. It can be variety of different applications. Blockchain is a technology which is used basically for security. But it is not that blockchain can be used for each and everything. This is a misconcept. It has been said in many platforms that blockchain can be used for each and everything, but it is not the fact. We have to see that how much amount of investment we have to do, how much amount of security we require, what is the need or not. Though it can be used, but it is not advisable. But it is a multi-purpose tool. It can be used for any type of application. To be more specific, blockchain is, listen this line very carefully, what blockchain is. Blockchain is a platform where we build our applications. Like in computer network, you talk about 7 layers, OSI layers, but we do not see those layers. So blockchain is a platform. Blockchain is an operating system. It can be compared as an operating system where we put our applications, and blockchain is an underlying technology which is giving security to it. So blockchain is a platform where we are using our applications, where we are making our applications. So we can combine it with artificial intelligence, we can combine it with machine learning, we can combine it with any technology, because it is a platform. Over and above, we are making our own applications. It is like a multi-purpose tool which can be used for n number of applications. Okay. Now let's proceed with definitions of blockchain. See, for next 15-20 minutes, 1 hour has already passed and I'm left with 1 more hour. The basic goal for today is that what is blockchain and combination of AI and blockchain. In this past 1 hour, I have tried to give you certain basics of blockchain and what is how AI can be used. Now I'll be speaking on much more technical terms. So because you
Sir,
all are
your
much...
voice is big.
Pardon? Voice is not clear? Please.
Sir.
Okay. Can you please tell me, it is humming sound is coming or low noise is coming? What is happening? Is it audible now? I have increased the volume.
Sir,
Yes,
sound
sir.
is
Now it is
clear.
Audible?
Sir, audible, sir.
Audible? Okay.
Clearly audible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So now, having said this, in the past 1 hour, I have tried to build the base of blockchain. Now, in the coming 1 hour, I will be speaking on certain technical terms. So I request you that in case you are, I cannot say that you are not able to understand. You all are so much experienced, and all are academicians. So in case I am not able to explain, then do ask again. So this point is not clear. I'll try to explain it in a much better way then. Otherwise, I think that whatever I have said, you have understood. So do interrupt in case something misses in between. So now for next 15 minutes, I'll be concentrating on different definitions of blockchain. The goal is that what blockchain is clear to us. Okay. Now definition of blockchain. Blockchain is a distributed ledger. What is blockchain? If we remember of the third story, blockchain is a distributed means which is distributed to everyone. Ledger over here is a register. So blockchain is a distributed record which is distributed to each and every participant, and every participant is keeping his own record which is same as the main record. So blockchain is a public distributed ledger which is replicated across several networks assembled in a peer-to-peer network. Peer-to-peer network means every network is connected with each other and it is communicating with each other. So blockchain is a distributed ledger. Second, blockchain, you can think it is as a database. At the back end, it is a database, a block which is having some data with some security concepts. So blockchain is similar to a database which is maintaining the distributed ledger. Third term, we can think that blockchain is similar to a data structure. We have already talked about linked list. So blockchain is somewhat similar to a data structure where it is distributing, where it is keeping the records, where it is keeping the data in a distributed manner, in a distributed computing. The only difference is the linked list was using centralized computing, and blockchain we are using a distributed computing. Having said this, other features of blockchain says that blockchain is a permission-based database where you can only append to the database. You cannot delete something. If something is added to it, in linked list it is possible to remove a node, but in blockchain if something is added, if a block is being added, we cannot remove that block. We cannot delete that data. If something is added to it, so it is added. The record entry made, so entry made over there. There is no means by which the entry can be removed. If you have to remove that entry, the only thing what we can do is we have to put another block where it will rectify the wrong calculation which have been put in some other block, but we cannot remove that block. So it is only an append only database. Okay, we'll not see the business definition which is written over here. The fifth point we'll consider it on the 4 points. It is a distributed ledger, it is a database, it is a data structure, and it is a append only database where we can only add to it. There is by no means we can remove it. Now seeing the second definition. After second definition, I'll stop and see if there are any queries. What does the second definition says? A blockchain is essentially a database where information is chronologically stored in a continuously growing chain of data blocks. क्या है blockchain? Blockchain एक database है where information is stored in a continuously growing chain of data blocks. Information is growing, implemented in a decentralized network in a way that creates data integrity, trust and security for the nodes. एक ट्रस्ट आ जाता है, एक सिक्योरिटी आ जाती है विदाउट द नीड ऑफ सेंट्रल अथॉरिटीज और इंटरमीडिएटरीज. Without the need of central authorities or intermediaries means, see, we all people of the society contributed a certain amount of money. There was no need for some central authority. We all were keeping our own records. We were not bound with any central authority. We were not doing the transactions through any bank or something. We were independent with each other. So in a blockchain, the blocks are created and there is no central authority to monitor it. So because it is not a centralized computing, there is no central server. Everything is distributed. It is in a decentralized manner where information is stored and that information cannot be deleted. If a block is joined into the chain, we cannot delete that block. That is the main thing. If a block is joined into the chain, we cannot delete that block. A block has entered into the chain, we cannot delete that block. Now, any confusion after seeing these two definitions? Kindly unmute yourself and ask. Then we'll move to another definition. No doubts? Okay. So let's move to another definition. What is blockchain? A blockchain can be regarded as a global spreadsheet or an incorruptible digital ledger where financial transactions and any data or asset can be represented, shared and transacted with. What a blockchain is? All of you must have worked on Google Docs or Google Sheets. तो हम blockchain को compare कर सकते हैं Google Sheets की तरह. है नहीं blockchain Google Sheet, but we can say that it is regarded as a Google Sheet, a global spreadsheet. The difference is that it is an incorruptible digital ledger. In Google Sheet, if we make a record, we can delete the record. But in blockchain, if a record is being made, we cannot delete that record. So it is an incorruptible digital ledger where you can keep any type of record. Maybe it are financial transactions, like we were saying that every people in the society was contributing something, or it can be used for any type of data. It can be used for any asset which can be represented, shared and transacted with. So blockchain can be used to keep any type of data in an incorruptible digital ledger. तो blockchain क्या है? एक ledger है, एक data structure है. Blockchain is a database where you are keeping your record and that records cannot be manipulated and it is visible to all the parties who have contributed with you, who have joined with you, and maybe those parties also, those who have not contributed, those who do not belong to that organization, they can also see that data. There are different type of blockchains. So it may be that others can see or it may be others cannot see. So we'll see to it if time permits different types of blockchain and all. But what a blockchain is? Blockchain is a database. Blockchain is a data structure where you are keeping the data and the data is being kept in an incorruptible form. Blockchain is a technology where you are building your applications, you are storing your data in an incorruptible form where it is not possible to change the data. Simply defined, a blockchain is little more than, if we simply define it. So what is blockchain? It is a distributed secure lock file. It is a distributed secure lock file. A digital currency was in a lot ways the first demonstration used. है ना, आप लोगों ने बिटकॉइन का नाम सुना होगा, बाद में बात करेंगे बिटकॉइन की अगर टाइम परमिट करेगा, है ना. तो बिटकॉइन इज वन ऑफ द एप्लीकेशंस ऑफ ब्लॉकचेन. सो व्हाट इज ब्लॉकचेन? इट इज अ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड सिक्योर लॉक फाइल. डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है, सिक्योर है, एक लॉक फाइल की तरह है ना. टेक्नोलॉजी है जिसमें सब कुछ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है और सिक्योर्ड है. विकिपीडिया की डेफिनेशन की अगर बात करें, blockchain is a continuously growing list of records called blocks which are linked and secured using cryptography. What is blockchain? It is a continuously growing list of records called blocks which are linked and secured using cryptography. So cryptography is something which is very old. Distributed computing is also which is very old. So what made this blockchain a new technology? Blockchain came in 2008, but it became famous in 2018. Only 3 years down the line it became famous. So this is not the complete session on blockchain, but blockchain became famous only in 2018. It combined all these technologies. It combined distributed computing. It combined cryptography. So the key point is that if we have to do some research and if we combine 2-3 technologies together, the research becomes fruitful. So why blockchain became so much famous? Because it combined all the existing technologies. It combined decentralized computing. It combined distributed computing. It combined cryptography. It combined cryptocurrencies. It combined all these things to make a new technology and called it blockchain. Okay. So it is not something which is new. It is an amalgamation of all the existing technologies in a new manner. So it is a growing list of records, and these records are known as block, and which are linked and secured using cryptography. Last definition of blockchain. Blockchain is a cryptographically secured record of transactions. Secured record है, cryptographically secure करा गया, stored on a decentralized network. Decentralized है, where each block contains various transactions. हर एक ब्लॉक में अलग अलग डेटा हो सकता है, ठीक है, depending upon the size of the block. And the size of the block depends upon the platform, depends on the type of blockchain platform we are using. There are different type of blockchain platforms which are approved after complex consensus algorithm. Now what is this consensus algorithm? We will speak afterwards. For the time being, you can say that for a transaction to join into the block, for example, if in a society I was saying that Jyoti ma'am gives 100 rupees. So this thing will be written by everyone that Jyoti ma'am gives 100 rupees only if there are 100 people in the society, majority of us agree, there is a mutual agreement with us. Yes, Jyoti ma'am has given 100 rupees. If mutual agreement would be there, if consensus would be there, then only every one of us will write it in our register. So when every one of us agree to it, so that every one of us agreeing is known as a consensus algorithm in blockchain technically. So this is what we can say what is blockchain technically. It is a cryptographically secured record in a decentralized network where each block contains various transactions which are approved after complex consensus mechanism algorithms. Any doubts up till now? देखो डाउट होगा तभी आगे पढ़ाने में भी मजा आएगा, नहीं? Kindly unmute yourself and ask anything if any doubts.
Sir, technology, blockchain technology is growing and demanding and now booming these days. But I have query, if we cannot delete data, then its memory requirements are very huge, memory infrastructure. So how is it possible
Definitely.
to maintain such huge requirements for memory?
Definitely, Jyoti ma'am. This is one of the disadvantages over there, that replication is there. Every server is keeping the same copy. Every participant is having the same copy. Therefore, in the very beginning, I said that this thing has to be managed and calculated, that whether our application really require blockchain or not. And for memory purpose, now instead of putting the data, because there is a huge amount of data in artificial intelligence, I cannot store the data in the block of the blockchain. So there are other storage techniques like IPFS, STORJ. These type of storage techniques are being used to store the data. These are all examples of decentralized storage, and these storages addresses are hashed and they are stored in the blockchain. So it is again a combination of a distributed storage with blockchain which is being used nowadays. Instead of keeping the data in the blocks, we cannot keep the large amount of data in the blockchain. A blockchain size is fixed depending on the platform. For example, if we talk about Ethereum, which is one of the platform, the size is limited to 20 KB. If we talk about this Bitcoin, the size was 1 MB. So every blockchain has a limitation of the size of the block. So because of the limitation of the block, distributed storage like IPFS, interplanetary file storage system, which is based on cloud computing, a distributed storage system, that is being combined with blockchain now. Means blockchain is being used to store the address of this IPFS file to give security to that data. Because if any manipulation is being done into that data, then the hash will change. That is the main concept of the blockchain, which I'll demonstrate to you now, that what is this hash and how this data is being stored. In the next slide, that demonstration would be given to you to give you a more clear picture of blockchain is. But on the other side, it is the fact that not all applications can be stored on blockchain. Means it is not advisable for all the storage applications, because storage is a problem because of multiple nodes. Someone has written over here also Vasavi M. So this is very true. Any other query? I hope I answered your query.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. At the end of session, I'll ask you one more question.
You can ask now also, or at the end. It is all up to you.
No, it is related to blockchain and cryptocurrency. That's why at the
Okay.
end of session, I'll ask.
Okay. Thank you. Any other query? No queries. Okay. So let's proceed. Let me share the screen again. Okay. I'll share the link in the chat window also, so that all of you can also access it. The screen is visible. Something blockchain written, block, nonce, data written.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I'll share in the chat. If you can't send message because you are not a member. Oh, I also can't send message in this chat. Okay. So what I'll do is, if administrator can allow यार at least मुझे तो allow कर दो यार chat भेजने के लिए हैं. How come that इतनी restrictions क्यों लगा रखी है भाई? Okay. Anyhow, what you can do is, if there is a technical issue, I think, I'll demonstrate to you. Those who are interested, they can Google and write Anders Brown blockchain. Anders Brown blockchain, and this type of link which is visible on the screen, you will find it on the Google, and you can open the same screen on the window. Now, see what a blockchain is. This is a dummy demo of blockchain, not the actual blockchain is. I'm trying to explain the process of blockchain in the limited time. I'm trying to explain you the process of blockchain is. See, in a blockchain there is a block, and every block has got a block number. The first block of every blockchain is known as a genesis block. Okay, so this is a blockchain number. Then this is a randomly generated number which is known as a nonce. This is a randomly generated integer number which is generated by the blockchain platform itself. And in different platforms, it has got different uses. It is known as a nonce. In every blockchain platform, in every block, there is a random number which is known as a nonce. Okay, this is a random number. And then there is another field in a block which is known as a data. For example, I say the data Bikaner College. Okay. Now, what makes this blockchain so much secure is that it uses a special type of cryptographic algorithm. It uses a special type of cryptographic algorithm, and the name of that cryptographic algorithm is SHA-256. The name of that cryptographic algorithm is SHA-256, SHA-256. Every block address is cryptographically hashed by using that SHA-256 algorithm. The data which we store is also cryptographically hashed by using that cryptographic algorithm. Now, whatever data you store in this block, if you see down the line over here, if you can see the cursor, this red line which is coming over here, this hash is written in the first block. This value will change if I change the value of the data. For example, if I remove this E, see very carefully over here from this data Bikaner college, if I remove this E, the value of hash will drastically change. See, this is the value of hash, and if I put the E, this is the value of hash. So even a small change in this data is changing this hash value. So this data and nonce, they are being combined together to generate the hash value, and the algorithm which is being used is SHA-256. And this hash value is used to link this block with the new block. So if anyone corrupts the data, the block will not join into the chain, which gives security to the blockchain. This is the thing which I am trying to explain, that if anything goes wrong in the data, the hash value will change, and if the hash value will change, the block will not join into the chain. Therefore, the chain remains secure. And it is not easy to change the data, because if you change the data, then you have to change the hash for all the blocks. I'll demonstrate it to you. So this is block, nonce, data, previous, because this is the first block. So the hash of previous block is 000, and this is the hash of this block. What is this mine? You can consider it that whenever a block has to be created, the blockchain platform decides that whether the block has to be allowed to join into the chain or not. So this allowing process is being done by a special type of computers, a special type of persons, and those persons are known as miners, and this process is known as mining. तो इसलिए word लिखा है यहाँ पे mine, कि we are creating the block. So creation of a block is known as mine. तो हमने कहा कि एक block create हो गया. So we say that the block is created. Okay. Now you see very carefully over here that this is the hash of this block, and the hash of the block is given to the next block in the previous field. अब previous field में क्या है? Same hash है, because this block has to join with the previously created block. If I'll put some data over here, the hash of this block will change. You see, I'll mine this block. I'll mine this block, and mining means that this block has been created and it is joined with the previous block. So it is joining with the previous block by using the hash, this hash value. Now I put some data over here and I mine this block. If possible, do try parallelly, because we will do one small exercise after doing this mining. Now see to it. Just concentrate on the screen, previous block and the hash value of the previous block. Both the values are same. Over here, these both values are same. So over here, it is joining with it. Now what gives security to this blockchain is, one thing is this hash value, because if I change the data, then this will not join. Now suppose I say that someone wants to change this data. Someone wants to change this data. The delete की हम जो बात कर रहे थे, हमने कहा हमने इस डेटा को करप्ट कर दिया. अब हमने इस डेटा को करप्ट कर दिया तो इसका हैश चेंज हो गया, ठीक है ना, इसका हैश चेंज हो गया. अब अगर इसका हैश चेंज हो गया, अब मैंने इसे माइन करा, माइन तो हो जाएगा, है ना, माइन हो गया. अब इसका क्योंकि हैश चेंज हो गया तो प्रीवियस का हैश भी चेंज हो जाएगा. मैंने इसके बीच वाले डेटा को चेंज कर दिया. अब जैसे ही मैंने बीच वाले डेटा को चेंज करा, आपने देखा कि दोनों ब्लॉक्स चेंज हो गए, दोनों ब्लॉक्स चेंज हो गए. इफ आई चेंज एनी डेटा, all the blocks after this changes, so I have to make a new chain. I have to compute a new hash so that it becomes a part of the chain. Now it is not a part of the chain because the hash of the block has changed, so it breaks the chain. Therefore, this is very typical to delete the data. Over here it is a not the exact practical demo, तो मैं फिर से माइन करूंगा तो ज्वाइन हो जाएगा, बट एक्चुअल में हमें क्या दिखाना है कि जैसी चेंज हुआ तो ब्लॉक से हट गया, चेन से हट गया. सो दिस इज हाउ अ ब्लॉकचेन वर्क्स, a demonstration. Over here there is another link which is hash. So this is SHA-256 algorithm का representation है. For example, if I write HI, so this is the SHA-256 algorithm. अगर हाई डेटा है तो ये SHA-256 का आउटपुट है. अगर मैं इस डेटा में हल्का सा चेंज कर देता हूँ, HJ कर देता हूँ, तो ये SHA-256 का आउटपुट होगा. बहुत बड़ा डेटा ले लेते हैं, चलो, है ना. ये इसका SHA-256 है. इसमें से एक सिंगल H, if I remove one single H, the algorithm changes, the output changes drastically. छोटा मोटा चेंज नहीं हो रहा है, आप देख रहे हो, ड्रास्टिक चेंज हो रहा है ना, ड्रास्टिक चेंज हो रहा है. So therefore, even a small amount of change in the data, the block is unable to join into the chain. So if chat is not available to us, but I'll give 2 minutes to you. Open this link on your system or this link in your system, andersbrownworth.com/blockchain/blockchain, and try it with your own hands, so that you'll come to know that what a blockchain is and how it makes cryptography, makes it very much secure. Everything which is being in it is using SHA-256 cryptographic algorithm. So do open it. After 2-3 minutes, we'll
Excuse me, sir.
move forward. Yeah, please.
Sir, is it possible to anyone who want to see the data from the hash using SHA-256 algorithm to extract the data from hash?
Very difficult task, क्योंकि hash तो हमें visible नहीं होता ना. Recompute करना चाह रहे हो आप hash से data ना?
Yes, sir. Actually, in the case of password making or encrypted data, they also use hash for transferring the data.
Definitely. पर blockchain में हमारे पास कुछ भी visibility नहीं है. Now, what is visible, what is not visible, that is other side of the coin. If time permits, I'll show to you. Otherwise, chat is not available, but you can go through my website mayankagr.in and YouTube channel where my videos of blockchain is there. And very soon a SWAM course has been approved to me for blockchain. So that course would be available on SWAM on blockchain, where complete blockchain demonstration and hands-on would be taught. You can enroll in that SWAM course on blockchain. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Means in this limited amount of time I cannot explain that part, that how we can do it. Everything is possible, but how can we do it? It is not possible over here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Kindly 2 minutes to you, 2-3 minutes to, you can unmute yourself and tell that whether some of you have gone through the demonstration, or shall we proceed or not? Shall we proceed? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. You may proceed.
Okay. You only answered that question, na? Subhane sir? That is it possible to compute? You only answered, no? Oh, asked that question, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I asked, sir.
Okay. Chalo, abhi, if other people have not answered and you have said that you may proceed, so let me answer your question. Dhara sir, have you any idea about cryptography and cryptographic algorithms?
No, sir. No, sir. I just only know that if we entered any password or any and most of the applications have their encryption process to make the data secure, and
Okay.
that's
See,
why.
what is the SHA-256? It is known as a secure hashing algorithm. SHE की फुल फॉर्म क्या है आपने पूछा है तो मैंने कहा चलो सबसे बता भी देते हैं आप सिक्योर हैशिंग एल्गोरिथम है ना 256 मीन इट इज यूजिंग अ 256 बिट्स है ना SHA-2 SHA-3 बहुत सारी SHA algorithms है एंड देयर आर अदर हैशिंग algorithms also like race MD5 Blake there are many cryptographic algorithms blockchain uses SHA-256 algorithm why it uses the SHA-256 algorithm क्योंकि जो आपका क्वेश्चन है कि अगर हमें गैस करना पड़े कि वो हैश क्या है यही पूरी जान है ब्लॉकचेन की कि इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू नो दैट व्हाट इज द हैश ऑफ अ ब्लॉक एंड miners are being awarded to guess this thing miners are being awarded to guess this thing to know that what is the value of the block or what is the data which is there in the block or to know the hash by putting a certain amount of guesses in the data. For example, I say that this is the data and let us compute the hash. So I'm trying to put a wild guess on the data. So or I'm trying to convert the hash into the data. So I'm trying to make a guess. So the technology which is used in it, we can say it is not technology, means it is a hit and try method. We call it as a brute force technique. तुक्का है, brute force technique, तुक्का है. Might be that we get the success in the best case on the very first try. In the worst case, we get the success on the last time. And how many chances are there? 2 to the power 255. Means how many tries we have to make? 2 to the power 255. And that too with such a long string, 2 to the power 255. So it requires a huge amount of computation skills and a huge amount of computation power. Therefore, we say that it is very difficult. It is not impossible, but it is very difficult to do this type of computation. And to do these type of guessing works in blockchain platforms, there are different blockchain platforms. Miners are being paid for this to compute a hash which is less than the target block. The target block means the block which has to join. They are paid for this, and if we see the payment scenario, that is in means lakhs of crores of rupees. So we'll not go into the details of this. So it is a difficult task, not impossible, but a difficult task. Okay.
Okay, sir. But sir, using brute force technique to extract any password, it may take few years to extract in
Yes,
a
that is
simple.
what I am saying. Na? Therefore, miners uses a huge amount of computation power. That is one of the drawback of blockchain, which requires a huge amount of energy. Means it is if you go through the literature of blockchain, then only you will be able to understand that how much amount of energy is being consumed. The amount of energy consumed is equivalent to the amount of energy consumed in the whole city of Iran, okay, in one mining block. So these are some darker sides of blockchain. Let's not concentrate on all these points, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is blockchain? A blockchain is a distributed ledger which establishes trust, accountability, transparency to streamline and innovate process across any business network. So this definition we have already seen, so I'll not speak much on it. Hashing, we have seen that practically we have spoken about that it uses a cryptographic hashing technique which makes it secure. It introduces transparency because there are different participants and these different participants agree with each other, then only a block joins into the chain. This is, we've already seen that how this is SHA-256 works. If I do a small change, the output will completely change. Okay. Now, in the remaining half an hour, I'll cover 2 points. One is what are different type of blockchain platforms, and in the end, we will see that how AI and blockchain can be linked with each other. I have already spoken in the starting hour that how data can of AI is being used and how blockchain can be used to make it secure. But you all must know that what are different type of platforms and what are different type of blockchain platform examples practically which you can explore and which type of platform you can use. So there are three basic type of platforms. One is public, second is private, and third is consortium. Public, as the name suggests, open for all. Anyone can join, anyone can see, anyone can read, anyone can write. Private, it belongs to me. It is up to me that who will join it, who has got which facility, who can read, who can write. Consortium, a group of organizations working together for a common goal. That is a consortium blockchain. Public, again I repeat, open for all. Private, limited. Consortium, limited to a group of organizations. So these are three different types of blockchain platforms. To see it more elaborately, this has been taken from a website 101blockchain.com. Okay, so public versus private blockchain. What is public blockchain? In public blockchain network, everyone has access to network and can take part in the consensus decision. In private blockchain, only a single organization will have access and authority over the network. It is partially decentralized because we are saying that a single organization is having a control on it. Therefore, it is partially decentralized. In public blockchain, if we see the difference, anyone can access. Authority is decentralized. Transaction speed is slow. Why? Because there are large number of participants. Therefore, a block joining into the chain, number of participants are more, the chain is heavier, the decision takes much more amount of time. Therefore, the transaction speed is less as compared with private blockchain. Consensus algorithm we have not seen, so we will not speak of it. It has got low efficiency, data handling, read and write access for everyone. Immutability means it cannot change. In public blockchain, we cannot change because everything is public. Everyone is having the rights. So it is not able to change. Once it is joined to the block, it is joined. In private blockchain, we say that it is partially immutable because the organization which is owner, if that organization wishes to do something at the back end, they can change it. So therefore, we say it is partially immutable and it is partially decentralized in private blockchain. Though when we speak on broader terms of blockchain, we say that blockchain is decentralized, blockchain is distributed, blockchain is immutable. But when we go in depth, जैसे मैंने कहा था अगर हम धीरे धीरे और भी डेप्थ में जाएंगे तो और चीजें बदलेंगी, है ना? So it is partially immutable. That is a private blockchain. Similarly, if you talk about consortium blockchain means where different organizations are collaborated with each other to work for the common goal. So it is multiple organization. It is fully decentralized because there are more than one organization. It is decentralized. So read and write is there with multiple organizations. Similarly, immutable is partial because there are different organizations which are owner of it. Therefore, read and write becomes partially immutable. Now, the main point on the left hand side, जैसे ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है, मैंने आपसे कहा था, है ना, विंडोज, लिनक्स, इसी तरह से ये डिफरेंट ब्लॉकचेन प्लेटफॉर्म्स के एग्जांपल्स हैं. आप इसमें काम कर सकते हो जिसमें आपकी इच्छा हो. यू कैन चूज अ प्लेटफॉर्म इन विच यू विश टू वर्क. इथीरियम, हाइपरलेजर, हाइड्रा चेन, आयोटा, चेन कोर, स्टेटस, करोडा, these are all different blockchain platforms. Someone is public, someone is private, someone is consortium. Architecture क्या है? PL means programming language, है ना? For you all, we will not say that you focus on consensus mechanism or you focus on architecture. आप सिर्फ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज पे कंसंट्रेट करो कि आपको कौन सी प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज आती है, उसके बेसिस पे आप अपना ब्लॉकचेन प्लेटफॉर्म चूज कर दो. ठीक है. नाउ this blockchain platform can be used to make any application. Okay, you can choose a blockchain platform and you can make any application on the blockchain platform. In India, Telangana is one of the state which has shifted most of the government works to blockchain. Many participants must be there from Telangana, but we do not come to know when we see the website that the website has shifted to blockchain. Blockchain is an underlying technology which is providing the security. Remember this thing. So these are the examples of the blockchain platform where you can build your own application over it. And your application will be secured by using the features of these platforms. To use the features of these platforms, you have to do some coding, not for the front end, for the back end. And for that back end, the programming language is given in the fourth column. Okay, the programming language which is given in the fourth column, the back end programming which we do is known as a smart contract. Technically, we call it a smart contract. We write a smart contract in a blockchain platform. In my videos which are there on the YouTube, you can go through and you can go through those videos. You will come to know that what is Ethereum, what is a blockchain platform, and how you can write a smart contract in Solidity using Ethereum, how it is Remix. Those things are given in those video lectures in the YouTube, and in the SWAM course, complete course would be there. We will be starting it very soon. Certain videos have already been put over there, but I have not made it public up till now. We'll soon, we are trying, but because of this COVID, recordings have been paused. Soon we hope that the course would be available for everyone. Depending upon the programming language, you can choose the blockchain platform. So Solidity and Ethereum is one of the platform in which me and my team works nowadays, and you can go through the YouTube videos to learn more about Ethereum. Now you can make any type of applications on these programming language on these platforms. See, why blockchain has become very famous? Like Jyoti ma'am was saying that it is in very much demand. From the very birth certificate, अब आप assume करो कि birth certificate से लेके death certificate तक, कोई birth, किसी की शादी हुई, किसी का birth certificate हुआ, उसको स्कूल में गया, कॉलेज में गया, सारा रिकॉर्ड ब्लॉकचेन के प्लेटफॉर्म पर स्टोर्ड है, and it is visible as a GUI website to the users. And in every platform, whether it is a public, whether it is a private, it is an access-based system. Even in a public thing, we can put an access that who can access things. Public system, everyone can view, but everything is anonymous. If I'm making my application on a public blockchain, it does not mean sense that my application can be tracked by anyone. Everything would be anonymous. I can give rights that who can put the things in my application, who can write in my application, who can get which information from my application. Even in a public blockchain, we can put read rights restrictions in a different manner. So it depends upon the smart contracts which we write on it. Okay. So these are examples of different platforms. The aim was that you come to know at least certain names of some platforms and some languages which are used. Ethereum, Hyperledger. These are two platforms which is in very much demand. Hyperledger is something which is used a lot. Now to conclude, 10 more minutes remaining with me, that how AI can be helped, that how artificial intelligence can be used with blockchain. We started with that there is a boom of data, a large amount of data is there. So artificial intelligence is processing a large amount of data. The security of data is a challenge. So for security of that data, we can use a distributed storage like IPFS, and the hash of that data can be stored in the blockchain data. Okay, not the complete data. The IPFS address hash can be stored into the blockchain data. And if there is any change into that data, the hash will change, and in the hash will change, the blockchain will change, so the security of the data would be there. This is one concept. There are many applications which have been built using blockchain and AI. So I'm showing you one of the review paper. There are many papers. If you'll Google blockchain and AI, many papers will come. This is one of the paper source. I have cut it and pasted over here. The source is written over here. If you Google K Sala et al. No, means ATAL means there are more authors. The name of the paper is Blockchain for AI Review and Open Research Channel. No? So blockchain can be used for AI. So these are different trends in artificial intelligence. The reference numbers are being mentioned over here. The reference number you can see from the paper. Explainable AI, digital twins, automated machine learning, hybrid learning models, new blockchain, new artificial intelligence techniques, different type of applications which can be used by these techniques. It may be a healthcare, it may be military, it can be aircraft intelligence, it may be industry. And if we use blockchain, what benefits do we get? Trust, reliability, provenance, immutability. Means this type of application will become more trustworthy. It would become immutable. So automating the whole process of machine learning, combining different machine learning models have been used in this hybrid learning models. So if blockchain is combined with it, that will be the benefit of it. So go through this paper. This will give you an insight that how you can combine blockchain with artificial intelligence. The another thing which I would like to share is this thing. See, in an artificial intelligence, you do all these type of applications: autonomic computing, optimization, planning, knowledge discovery, reasoning, perception, learning, search. All these things you are doing in a centralized computing. आप कंप्यूटिंग कर रहे हो सेंट्रलाइज कंप्यूटिंग पे, कितना टाइम लग रहा है, उसमें कितना डेटा चाहिए, कितना वेस्टेज है. सो इफ यू डू इट इन अ डिसेंट्रलाइज कंप्यूटिंग, so shift from centralized AI computing to decentralized computing, even if not shifting to blockchain, shift from centralized computing to decentralized computing, shift from centralized AI operation to decentralized AI operations, to put more worth to your research. Combine your research with decentralized AI. Instead of putting just as an artificial intelligence, use decentralized AI applications. So that's all from my side. There are lots many slides, but we will not cover other slides. I'll stop over here. Last 5-10 minutes remaining with me. That is the session. We are stopping over here for the queries. Any queries? Else handing over to the organizers.
Thank you very much, sir, for this very informative session on securing applications by blockchain. So participants, if you have any questions, please unmute and ask. Any questions?
Okay, then I'll take your leave.
So sir, we are very much thankful.
Thank you very much, sir.
For a wonderful session. On behalf of all the participants, Engineering College Bikaner, ATAL AICTE team, it's my privilege to extend vote of thanks to Dr. Mayank Aggarwal for this generous and elaborative presentation. So thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, then. So now we are closing the session, and we will be meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. and Professor Sriman Narayana from Sri Nidhi Institute of Science and Technology, Hyderabad, will be sharing his talk on agents in artificial intelligence and applications. And the link for the same will be shared through mail and in the WhatsApp group also. So